Now, hang in there, big guy. There'll be brighter days ahead. Did Bob Myers, the general manager of the Warriors, not also say that to Steiny and Goo yesterday? I think if you're a Warrior fan, the scary part about the start is not whether or not you can wrap your head around these guys rallying. There's the ultimate faith in Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson and Steve Kerr and Bob Myers and the whole organization. They're going to do the right things. They are the right people. This has been proven time and time again through multiple eras now. And so I think that's easy for a Warrior fan. What's hard is that the Warriors are playing 2 seasons at once, and we can all see it, which is Steph Curry's career is not over yet. However, it's time to start getting Wiseman and Kuminga, Jordan Poole, everybody going so that they can become starters in the league someday. And a lot of people have looked at that and gone, these two things feel like they're not working together. And so which are you going to choose? And the scary thing for a Warrior fan is if this doesn't get better, are you just going to choose development over the end of Steph Curry's career? Well, Bob Myers definitely discussed this. Steiny and Goo did an awesome job with this conversation. And here it is about patience.
We'll see. It's a long deal. I think the young guys will do more than they're doing. I'd be surprised if this is what it is this early. I think the bench will be better. The starters, they have a good net rating. But even them, I think there's growth. But again, some of that probably sounds like I'm painting a rosy picture. But I do think this is not a best version of our team. It just isn't. It isn't in any level. If it was, if I thought we were playing great and everybody's clicking and we're 4-7, I'd be a lot more worried than I am now. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, Dibs. So that's step one.
It's an interesting way to look at it.
Step one is this isn't us yet.
Right.
This group will perform better. So that's step one.
Okay, and I hope it does, and it had better. And what he said at the end I thought was really interesting. If we were clicking on all cylinders and we were 4-7, that would really be a problem. That's a good way to look at it.
So it begs the obvious question, though. Hey, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
What if it doesn't get better?
God.
So
Hey,
then what?
He's an unbelievable player, and to do what he did last night it's you got to treasure that for the people listening, because I don't care if you're a Warrior fan or 10 years old or 90. That's how guys shoot 17-24 from the field, 7-12 from 3, no turnovers. It's impossible. Like, you can't do that at the YMCA. You can't. It's impossible to do that stuff. And the shot, if you watch the game, the shots he was making are hard. Even the twos off the glass. I mean, these are hard shots to make with nobody guarding you. That's him. I know. I don't want to dismiss him. But, Matt, we got to see what do we look like. And look, if there's a buyout or something that you think helps. But we're that's getting way ahead of ourselves at this point.
Okay, so he says there at the end, Matt, we're not there yet. But he uses the word buyout. There's absolutely conversations that these people, this team, they are willing to say, and this is all I wanted to hear yesterday. It's only been 11 games. But what I wanted to know, hey, Golden State Warriors, if this isn't going right, are you going to do everything in your power to make sure this season goes right? The answer was yeah. The answer was yes.
Yes, and ultimately it has to be a Joe Lacob answer of yes, because to me the most likely fix would be to use the 15th roster spot to find a vet min guy and slot him in for the vet min, which would, by the way, cost him about $10 million with the luxury tax. So that's a knock on Joe's door to say, hey, Dwight Howard, Carmelo Anthony, fill in the blank, player who's a street free agent, we want him in. The other thing you said, the buyout market. Again, that 15th roster spot could be used to find a player, a veteran who gets bought out of his situation, much like Andre Iguodala did famously, and he didn't go to Memphis. He chose not to take that on. So short of that, I don't know how you make this thing better. Trade deadline, by the way, 3 months exactly from today. 3 months, 2 hours, and 16 minutes. So that's really how much time we're looking at between are they going to do something. This conversation is going to linger as long as this team struggles.
Well, right. So you blend all of that with what we're watching them do, and is it getting better, and all of those things. And I'm with you. I don't know how you fix it. I know who I'd hire to fix it, though.
Bob the Builder?
Yeah, like that. These are the people, right? And so I've said this 1,000 times. Like, my faith in these people could not be higher. So it is to the point where if it doesn't get fixed, I believe it couldn't be fixed. And that is a possibility. It is a possibility that the Warriors, quite frankly, by no real fault of their own, I mean, if you think about the circumstances that have led us here, do you understand why Otto Porter's not on the team anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you understand why GP2's not on the team anymore?
I do, but that one hurts more.
I understand that.
I mean, you didn't want to pay him as much as he commanded times 7 or
Right.
whatever the accelerator is.
Do you understand that the Draymond Green punch in and of itself, forget the reaction to it, the lack or whatever of discipline, but the punch itself, that's not on the Warrior front office.
Yeah, that's a party foul.
Right?
Right.
Agreed?
Of course.
So there are circumstances that have led to this moment that I think are, I don't want to say out of the Warriors' control, but it is completely understandable, each individual decision that they've made. But we've arrived at a point where you have young players maybe playing in a disappointing way that you wouldn't have expected. And all you want to hear as a Warrior fan is, if this isn't working, are you still all in on more rings at the end of Steph Curry's career? That's the only thing I'm going to ask as a Warrior fan. And I felt through this conversation, and I felt just by the history of their behavior, that the answer is yes. And don't forget what Bob Myers said to you and I just a few weeks ago at Chase Center, which was enjoy this year.
Not next year.
Enjoying this year means, winning more games than losing.
And it means they're going to go for it. It means they're not going to be content with, okay, these guys are struggling, the young players are struggling, we're going to let them struggle, we're going to let the team fail and fall, and we're not going to go for it this year. They're going to go for it. Now, you talked about assigning blame to the front office, things you can look at and say, maybe that wasn't the best move. JaMychal Green, you brought him in, and he couldn't even get on the floor against Sacramento. Maybe he wasn't the best free agent pickup. Dante DiVincenzo, injured, not really making an impact. And, the development of the younger players, Kuminga and Wiseman, and you got to throw Moses Moody in there as well. Why haven't they improved as much as the organization thought they were going to improve? Because the blame needs to fall on the player primarily because they're the one playing, but also to the coaching staff and the front office, etc. Why has Jordan Poole regressed? Is it in any way related to what happened with Draymond Green? Is it related to the contract extension he got? These are all things that, if they continue, I think it's fair to look at the front office, the coaching staff, as well as the players and say, why aren't you guys better?
Sure, absolutely. And there was another interesting thing that I think touches on what you're saying right now. So I heard Steiny at one point say, what's tough, Bob, is because you guys have set this up, and 2022, social media, all of that, you've set it up so that a fan is going to go, if you finish anywhere short of number 1, this was a total failure. If you get to the conference finals, he goes, you guys inside might be going, man, that was pretty good. With everything we dealt with, that was pretty good. And the fans and the world are not going to look at it that way. I loved Bob's response.
Yeah.
Because Bob's response was, no, we look at it that way too. There are years where we don't, when Steph got hurt and the Warriors ended up with the worst record in the NBA.
Eric Paschall.
Like, I don't think we thought we could win the title that year. But we did last year, and we were right, even though it was not a popular thought, and we do this year. So they're thinking about it the same way you are. 11 games in, look, if this were 40 games in, I might spin a different tune, which is stop blowing sunshine up the wahoo.
Yeah.
But 11 games in, I'm going to accept that the Warriors are saying, no, championship window, we are not in development mode, and we are going to do what it takes to continue to give Steph Curry, the best thing that has ever happened to this market in sports, everything that we can do and everything we think he needs to keep this going as long as possible.
And 11 games in is basically 1/7 of the year, 14% of the year. So if this was an NFL season, you started out 0-2, basically, And, the percentage chances of an 0-2 team making the playoffs, and we all do that in the NFL. This is a little bit different because you got 71 more games left to go. You haven't won on the road. You had a dreadful 0-5 road trip. You're 0-6 overall on the road. And you look at this week, a tough Cleveland team, more Sacramento, San Antonio's winnable, Phoenix will be difficult. And you start to look ahead and you think you can climb back toward 500. Things are going to get better if, like you said, if you're 40 games in and you are 15-25, well, we're having a different conversation at that point in terms of, are they still in a championship window?